Boring Breakdowns. If you're a newer fan of combat sports, you may not be familiar with Katsunori Kikuno. He had a run in the UFC, but didn't see too much success with it. As a result, people tend to write off his entire career. He had a very unique karate style of kicking in MMA. We're going to show how you can quickly implement this type of kicking into your striking game and cause a lot of issues for more traditional Muay Thai or MMA strikers. Let's jump in. Before we discuss the specific mechanics of the kick and how you can start adding this to your game, let's look at the differences between the Kikuno kick and a more traditional Muay Thai style round kick. Let's watch Giorgio Petrosian throw a textbook style round kick. Now, from here, as he throws the round kick, he is going to be swinging his leg at a wider arc. The intent is to land with the shin, as Giorgio does, at the side of the opponent's gut. Notice the opponent is pulling his arm and elbow to the side of his gut to brace for Giorgio's leg. Let's watch one more time. We'll get into more details of the mechanics of Kikuno's kick, which will shed a bit more light on the differences. However, here, let's look at the general angle on how it's different from the textbook Muay Thai kick. From here, Kikuno brings the leg up. It appears to be ready to swing at that wide angle, similar to Giorgio's. Instead, he's going to point with the knee in this chamber, and the leg follows at a more straight-on angle, almost like a front kick or a teep. Notice Eddie Alvarez, the opponent, has brought his defenses to the side of his gut, expecting this wide-angle textbook round kick, and Kikuno's leg has simply bypassed that by going right down the middle. Let's watch it one more time. Now that we discussed the main differences, let's look at the specific mechanics of Kikuno's kick. Now, one of the dangers of Kikuno's kick is that it can inflict damage whether it is a chambered or extended leg. Let's see what exactly I'm talking about. Here, in the example we used just a moment ago, Kikuno is going to come up with the kick, chamber his knee, and then from here, because of the distance, he is going to extend the leg off of the chamber. Now, we're going to get into the specifics of the foot positioning and how that means there will be damage regardless of whether it's a chambered or extended leg. But notice from here he can still score on the gut, being a bit farther away simply by extending that leg. Kikuno can still inflict damage with his kick when he does not extend his leg. Here he's going to attempt his kick against the opponent who is going to shoot in and jam the kick. Let's watch what happens. He comes up with the same chamber. Now, in the last example, he had the distance to simply extend from his knee downwards and straighten his leg to make the contact. Because the opponent, Eddie Alvarez, is shooting in, he continues the kick while keeping that knee chambered, keeping the knee bent, and still makes contact with the foot. We'll get more into foot positioning in just a moment, but because this kick is more about inflicting damage through precision, it does not matter whether the leg is extended or not. Let's watch it one more time. Now that we discussed the chambered and extended knee positions on the kick, let's talk about foot positioning. One of the big criticisms of the Kikuno kick is that standard strikers, whether they be from Muay Thai or MMA, tend to jam their toes or jam their foot. Let's say they do land a clean Kikuno kick to the gut, because the toes may not be conditioned, it hurts a little bit when you land. Even worse, let's say the opponent correctly defends or you miscalculate the positioning and your toes hit their elbow or forearm, it's quite painful. So I should note, yes, there is some level of conditioning. However, one of the ways I use the Kikuno kick principle is to treat it more like a push kick or a teep and try to land a bit more with the ball of the foot. Additionally, because this isn't a kick that inflicts damage via raw power of turning the hip, you don't have to put too terribly much power to inflict damage, especially when you land on the gut. As long as you remember that and you actively try to land with the ball of the foot in a sort of like a teep fashion, you might have a bit more success and may experience a bit less pain in the toes. Now, the kick angle is something that's often discussed online regarding Kikuno's kicks. We already touched on the differences between Kikuno's kick and a standard Muay Thai style round kick. I will just reiterate the linear angle this kick takes, even though Kikuno starts the kick by slightly rotating the hip inward, giving the opponent the sense that there's going to be a standard style round kick here coming in. So rotates the hip, the opponent pulls the defense to the side, and the kick lands at a more linear angle, even though the hip is slightly rotated. Now to the most important part. How do you land the Kikuno kick? The majority of us have MMA, boxing, Muay Thai striking backgrounds. As a result, the Kikuno kick is very foreign to us. Most people tend to just write this off. I encourage you guys to give this a chance. If you do add this kick to your already established game, it can give standard strikers, Muay Thai boxing, MMA strikers, a really difficult time because it's so unexpected. You can build a large part of your game, as Kikuno has, around this kick. Now, before you go doing this, just a few important points that will help you quickly develop this kick into your game. I say this from experience. I was new several years ago to the Kikuno kick, added it in, and I find some of my biggest successes against more traditional strikers. Now, how do we go about implementing the Kikuno kick into our game? First, we need to discuss how to condition the opponent's elbow. Now, those of us coming from more traditional striking backgrounds have a very simple way to do this. Using the standard round kick is going to establish a threat to the side of the opponent's gut. This is going to force the opponent to use that same side arm to defend this area here. When the opponent pulls the arm and elbow back here, this opens the opportunity to go through the front door with that Kikuno kick. In addition to conditioning the elbow, we have to vary our kicks. This keeps the opponent guessing and never quite lets them pinpoint the trajectory of the kick so they can use their arms to defend. Let's watch as Kikuno throws a front kick and follows it with the Kikuno kick on the opposite leg. This constant variation keeps Eddie's arms guessing. Let's watch it one more time. The front kick lands, and Eddie bites on a threat that is coming straight in. The Kikuno kick still lands, even though he technically landed a strike through the front door, because of this hip motion and gut turn here. This looks much more like a standard round kick. Eddie bites by pulling his arms to the side, and Kikuno gets the Kikuno kick. Variation of the kicks incredibly important when you're trying to implement the Kikuno kick into your game. Lastly, creating opportunities for you to counter your opponent is a great way to use the Kikuno kick, specifically the chambered version, if you are in close range. Let's watch Kikuno do this when Eddie winds up a big right hand. With that chambered knee, he's able to stay in close range and land the kick as Eddie opens his gut up for the big right hand. I hope this helps you guys learn more about the Kikuno Kick and how to implement it into your game. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. Also, if you are implementing this into your game, I would love to hear how it's going. Let me know in the comments section if you're having success or any issues that you are coming up against. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Boring Breakdowns.